Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the insane woke propaganda, social justice type propaganda that you see in a lot of job adverts. Now, we posted a job advert recently, so we were getting applications in, and I wasn't looking after it, but I just out of interest, I sort of had a look at some of the CVs coming in, the applicants, and noticed how many, how much of the CVs were full of woke nonsense. Now, particularly the young boys weren't so bad, or young men rather weren't so bad, and all the applications were like. Some of them were kids still in college, I guess, but most of them were people over the age of 21 or really over the age of 25, I guess. But nonetheless, even at that age, it's still with the girls, still full of woke nonsense. A lot of girls actually haven't had a job at the age 25. They've just been NGO activists. I don't know how much they get paid for those sort of things, or whether some of them are just volunteer, others are paid. Or maybe their kids that can't get jobs, but want to go out placard waving and that sort of thing. They're living with their folks, and their folks are, they're living free and being fed and clothed and housed by their folks. So they're able to do this without penalty. Quite a few of them, their folks have bought them a car, so they've got everything laid on, and they don't have any responsibilities at all, and so they can be full-time social justice warriors, as people who have no responsibility tend to do, particularly the young women. But I just want to talk about this phenomenon generally. If you look at a lot of adverts, job adverts on the job boards, online job boards, and particularly the bigger firms or the NGOs or the Quangos or any organisation that's heavily dependent on government revenues, there'll be more about, if there's a job advertiser, supposedly the advert's about a job. And so the description information about the job is brief and pretty vague, but lacking specifics in, I would think, key areas. So you have a look at that. Then you have a look at their testaments, if you like, to their policies on equal opportunity and equal outcome, their feminine, their race and gender quotas, their affirmative action hiring, how they're sensitive to the needs of Indigenous natives, and how they're against all forms of discrimination. And it's just this endless litany of globalist, leftist, wokist talking points in the advert. Now, you can imagine that you'd get this out of the average HR operative. Remember, pretty much everyone in the HR diversity department has got a good dose of gender studies, and they've done, they've been indoctrinated endlessly that white society is evil, the West is evil, capitalism is evil, even though it pays their wages. Or the evils, Nazis are everywhere, and their job is to root out and fight Nazis and the far right. And so they want to have their adverts full of all these woke talking points. Now you could go straight to the United Nations Human Rights Division and just lift really direct cut and paste straight from their website into the ad, given how close the two are. There's almost no difference in what you would see or do see on the United Nations Human Rights or any Human Rights Commission, a bunch of endless leftist drivel and nonsense. But these are in the job adverts today. Not so much the small companies that have to compete to win, and so they need quality. You don't see much of it there, but in every other environment. Now, bear in mind that the amount of jobs that are government or NGO related or Quango related or where companies that, large businesses that rely almost exclusively on government contracts, which are all done in sweetheart deals in the background. And they're very much part of the wider globalist program to bring out lots of brown and black peasants to the west and so on. So they play a critical role in the globalist people movement scan. But they're the ones where you see the endless drivel about, and they're the ones, of course, that have huge HR departments. Now, if you look at the amount of jobs in, say, government, NGO, Quangos, the amount of jobs, the proportion of jobs it's getting on. If I go onto the the job board, sort of, well, I did actually went a couple of days ago to do a bit of research for this. You're looking at between 35 and 40% of all jobs are in this government jobs, NGO jobs, Quango jobs. This is insane. This was nowhere near this in the amount of NGO jobs. You'd be lucky if there was one or two at a time 25 years ago. Today, NGO jobs are just fucking everywhere, and all sorts of government and Quango related jobs as well. The other thing which is interesting is that these sort of type of leftist, the globalist assistance jobs, you could call it, assisting the globalist project, they're now the best paid jobs in all across the West. With very rare exception. If I go onto the job board right now, I did again a few days ago, and look at the best paid jobs, advertised jobs in Australia, then more than half, and sometimes even 80% plus of the best paid jobs are in the globalist assistance roles. Director of diversity and these sorts of things, government advisor on diversity, working for an NGO, operations director and vice president for an NGO. These are the jobs that are paying the big money now, and all of those jobs pay more than a senior engineering job. The guy building that big bridge down the way there, he's not getting paid anywhere near as much as a diversity director. So there's been a complete switch in the amount of employment in that category. And again, the sort of money they're paid, but so these job adverts that have endless human rights, leftist action, woke talking points, social justice talking points as part of the job advert, that's pretty much the norm now, and how it is. What I didn't realise, and whether it happened recently or not, is that sort of stuff has made a jump into the CVs, which I guess is inevitable when you think about it. But so coming back to this job advert we're running and the applicants, the young women, that they don't talk about their capability. They can do this or they can do that. They can achieve this. It's all very sort of fussy and hyperventilating type talk about how they were with an NGO and they, when they were only 13, they were placard waving for climate change, and then they're a member of the Student Society on the eradication of Nazis and they proudly tout this stuff, and they list all their NGO credentials, or employment history, and it's just placard waving for NGOs, and they're actually putting this in their fucking CV. As credentials to get a job. I'm thinking, why would you even put that in there? I'd be hiding it if it was me. But anyway, that's what they're doing, and they see this as that I'm not here to demonstrate my capabilities as an employee or my expertise or anything like that. I'm here to demonstrate my woke credentials. I'm here to demonstrate how much of a social justice warrior I am. And this is not for a job involved in, so like if they're applying for a job for an insane social justice NGO, I kind of would get that they'd be putting that in. But that seems to be the structure of all these young women's CVs, that they're pre-assuming that the primary purpose of their CV is to demonstrate their woke credentials. How many times they went placard waving on the street, and how young they did it from, and how they were 12 years old when they went to their first one, like Kamala Harris. They said freedom, and so they said. So when you get to interview them, they seem to be confused about why would you be asking me what I can do? Why are you talking to me about my qualifications to do the job? You should be asking me how many street protests I went to oppose transphobia. That's what you should be talking. And they seem to be rather confused. So I'm guessing the typical HR interview from, say, a bigger organisation, but any HR operative, is they're talking to another young woman who is, oh yeah, we're surrounded by noise. The climate change. The transphobia. Hitler is and they're all girls, and they're just playing doll's house. That's all they seem to be able to do, is to play doll's house with ideology and talking points. And the idea of working and doing a job and so on, that they sort of shake their heads and, why are you talking to me about that? What's that going to do with you? Are you a Nazi? And so, because we're all straight white males, the look on the face seems to be that, oh shit, I've come into a viper's pit of straight white male fascist Nazis. They're quite possibly all of them are Hitler. And so they don't want to talk about the job or what they can do. And you even see this, and this is going back a few years now, but you even see this with, say, job applicants for engineering, because when you're into a serious discipline, pretty much all the non-straight white males are affirmative action pass-throughs. They're just gender, race, gender quota people. They haven't passed the test or done the study. They don't think they should have to. I'm a black lesbian and I'm entitled to this. And if you want to question me, as in an interview, question me on the basis of, do I understand anything about engineering, then that you're a Nazi. I don't have to answer you. You damn Nazi. You fascist. And it's fascist. It's white supremacist to ask me if I know anything about engineering. But you've got an engineering degree. It doesn't matter. You're still a fucking Nazi if you ask me about it. So they're quite put out about it. So really, you've got, I think, an entire generation of people where, certainly as I perceive it, the majority of them, and particularly young women, where they are of the view that their moral credentials in again, how many protests they went along to and how many placards they waved, that is the measure of who they are as people. Their quality as an employee, their ability to do what's required in the job, that's just white supremacist, fascist, Nazi nonsense. The real issue is just how morally virtuous they are, and it's on that basis they should be given the job. Insane. You've been Tassus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.